Hello and welcome to our video tutorial of submitting to the Rensselaer Finance Club stock pitch competition. So just quickly to kick it off with some information, the two links in the form which you access this video from have this slide deck and another slide deck. This slide deck is going to be a template that you can edit and modify and use to create your own copy, your own pitch. Please save it in the file format that we've listed here. Please only pitch stocks or equities. The top 5 submissions are going to be invited to a second round to give a live pitch to a panel of judges. Hopefully this will be a mix of club, faculty, and professionals in the industry. Your pitch will be evaluated on the quality of your research, the quality of the analysis and the logic, your use of financial or economic theory. We'd like to see you use consistent and professional slide formatting. And for the second round, we'll be evaluating you on your presentational skills. The first slide you're going to make is going to be a little intro to yourself. Tell us about yourself, any previous experience you have and interest in the financial services industry. John?
Yep. So after just going through a little bit of information on yourself, this is where you're going to kick off more of your pitch. So you're going to start off with defining what it is that you are pitching, more of an executive summary of what the equity is, as well as what industry they operate in, different products they have, different technology they have, what they're really known for, what their presence is in the marketplace, more or less. And then, yeah, you'll also, briefly start to touch on, why you think this is a good trade, as well as, what your overall macroeconomic rationale might be behind it. So then you'll get into the fundamental analysis. So this is more of the meat and potatoes as to like what the real rationale is. So this will be more data driven. So you can provide any sort of valuation techniques you performed, any DCFs you built, models, any other corresponding information. Maybe there's a chart that's in an investor deck or an earnings from an earnings call. So this is really your chance to showcase any sort of data and analytical skills that you dug up to support your pitch. So then this is going to be actually defining what your position is for the equity. So you'll declare if you're going long or short this position. We're not going to be accepting any hold recommendations because we want to make sure that all the contestants are submitting some sort of definitive strategy here. What the entry point will be, what your take profit will be, stop loss. These are both optional, given that these are more advanced technical concepts. But if you're familiar at all with, how to calculate a take profit or how to calculate a stop loss or how to, pitch that, then, you're more than welcome to submit that. As well as the position size. This is a little bit less important, just because, the position sizing will correspond a lot more towards your the evaluated risk and what you're willing to take. But again, if you're comfortable doing that, then you're more than welcome to put in a position size. And then yes, any other charts, figures, and graphics would be helpful as well.
And just some additional tips. So less words are better. You want to use as many visuals or graphics as you can. Don't overcomplicate your slides, but feel free to get creative with the slide formatting. You don't have to follow section by section of the example pitch that we're going to show you in a moment. You want to make sure you're balancing your qualitative and quantitative analyses. We want to see you use both of those. Any quantitative analysis that you're performing, please support with data. Make sure you're narrowing your pitch down to key points, creating an investment thesis. And then, really, unless you're creating a really highly technical valuation, this probably shouldn't take you more than a couple or a few hours to complete. So it doesn't have to be a complete time suck. And then lastly, you don't need to be an expert or have a ton of experience to create a strong pitch. We just want to know that you have a good line of critical thinking.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're not looking for anybody to recreate the wheel here. We're looking for if you can, pretty concisely and clearly get your points across. And you don't necessarily have to be right, but as long as you can, pretty quickly execute whatever it is that you're trying to pitch, then that's what we're looking for.
You will not be evaluated on the performance of the stock that you pitch.
Yeah.
All right, switching over. Sean's going to walk us through a little bit of an example pitch and what a strong pitch could look like.
Yep. So this is an example that I built. I just picked a very basic stock here. Apple is probably one of the biggest companies in the world. Everyone knows it. So yeah, this is an example of what an about slide would look like. So I have some of my past internships here, as well as what my major is, some interests I have. You don't necessarily have those interests specifically to academics. You can make them about, I love playing golf, I love skiing, I love sailing. And then whatever sort of extracurriculars you are involved with here on campus. This doesn't necessarily have to be word for word your, elevator pitch or tell me about yourself kind of pitch. But you should sort of harp on some of those skills that you might have built in your elevator pitch. So then this is the executive summary and thesis. So as you can see on the left side here, I have a number of different data points specifically about Apple as a company. So you can see relates to both profitability and historical performance. I have very basic information there in terms of what industry they're in, their current price, their market cap, what sort of risk adjusted beta they have. And then in the middle, I have some basic information about what products they operate in, what markets they operate in, what kind of market share they have. Just again, very basic information, and then a little chart there. So this slide should be pretty simple for everyone to make. All this data is very widely available to anybody. You can find it on Yahoo Finance, on Bloomberg, on Wall Street Journal. Should be very, very available to everybody. Then to the fundamental analysis. So I've outlined about 4 points here that kind of serve as drivers for, in this case, why I believe that Apple would be a great, long position going forward. You can see here that I touched on, past performance, as well as a number of different macroeconomic drivers, specifically the Federal Reserve, just sort of outlook I have for their specific sales and the products that they serve in, as well as, what sort of trade related outlook I have for Apple. And then in the top right, you can see that is some data I pulled from a DCF that I built. This was specifically for Apple. Just as a note, I made a little note there as well. This was just from a different DCF and model that I built for, I think it was actually Meta. So, but this, I just put it in there just so that you can kind of get a good idea of what we're looking for as far as valuation or, charting. It should be looking, pretty neat, like I have it in there. Doesn't have to be super in-depth or technical, but we're looking for, some numbers and some growth outlook and growth percentages to then, back that out into a implied share price or a target price. And then this is the position slide. So you can see, I just put a very basic number, 1,000 shares, about, that entry point is what we'd be looking to enter this trade in. I put my take profit and my stop loss there. I won't go too deep into the strategy of like how you can calculate that, but it's more or less just calculated based off of prior support and resistance levels that you can see on a chart. So if there's any other charts that you want to provide, different time horizons, I just chose 6 months here because it's a pretty standard time frame. But if there's any other charts that are unique to your rationale or that you think are particularly interesting to look at, then feel free to add those here. So that should be a pretty good example of what your stock pitch should look like.
Yep, we look forward to receiving everybody's submissions, and if you have any questions, please reach out to our club email, which is also included in the Google form. So thank you.